Once upon a time, she was merely a waitress, toiling away in the world of service, until one photograph transformed the trajectory of her life. Hello, everyone. Enjoy these relaxing moments as you watch. Riley Bennett, a spirited young woman, anticipated yet another evening of serving champagne to the affluent within the opulent confines of an estate that had always seemed just beyond her wildest aspirations. As she glided past a serene hallway in the grand Hawthorne mansion, an unseen force compelled her to stop abruptly. There, mounted on the wall in vibrant black and white, hung a photograph, a little girl radiating innocence and joy. Riley's heart raced as her hands gripped her tray tighter. That little girl, with her sparkling eyes and playful dimples, was unmistakably her. How could this cherished memory from her childhood sit framed in a billionaire's home, a place she'd never so much as stepped into? She hadn't come searching for answers, yet that photograph ignited a burning curiosity within her. Someone, she sensed, was withholding the truth. Someone immensely powerful. And to unveil this mystery, she knew she would have to risk it all. What awaited Riley would not only shake the foundations of a family legacy, but reveal a perilous cover-up and initiate a reunion bursting with emotion that could only be likened to a heart-stopping climax. The journey ahead promised twists that would culminate in an ending that might just leave the audience in awe. Riley had served at countless events, but none felt as eerie or charged as the Hawthorne estate in Charleston, South Carolina. With its towering white columns, meticulously trimmed hedges, and a shimmering marble driveway aglow with the evening sun, it seemed ripped from the pages of a film script. As she exited the catering van, she steadied her nerves, whispering to herself, "Just another shift." At 23, Riley was no stranger to hard work. Raised by adoptive parents barely scraping by, she had balanced 2 jobs since age 17. Tonight's event, hosted by the prestigious Hawthorne family, was supposed to be just another step on her paycheck path. However, the moment she entered through the clandestine back entrance, an unsettling aura enveloped her. Frederick, the stoic head butler, greeted her with chilling efficacy, instructing her to keep her head down, avoid guests, and perform her duties promptly to secure her pay. Nodding to him, Riley tightened her grip on her silver tray as guests began arriving. Powerful politicians, CEOs, and socialites, all cloaked in exquisite designer gowns. Crystal chandeliers suspended overhead, their glimmering light contrasting with the secrets lurking beneath the surface. A string quartet played softly in the background as the air thickened with both wealth and unspoken tension. As Riley maneuvered through the crowd, distributing champagne and appetizers, a sensation gnawed at her. Something in the mansion felt amiss, as if the walls themselves were whispering secrets. Then, she spotted it, a dimly lit corridor branching off from the main hall, shrouded in shadow. She knew it was against the rules to stray, yet the pull of curiosity outweighed her caution. Ensuring no one was observing, she slipped down the forgotten hallway. Her heart dropped upon reaching the corridor's midpoint, where a slender frame encased a solitary photo. Again, the image of a little girl, no older than 5, with brown hair framing her face and large, expressive eyes that mirrored Riley's own. Stumbling back, realization struck. It was her. There was no denying it. The dress, those dimples, the small scar above her brow, all unmistakably her. But why was this long-lost piece of her past displayed here, in a house she'd never visited? The sound of approaching footsteps yanked her back to the present. Gasping, she rushed back toward the ballroom, pulse racing, and resumed her duties, each clink of her tray sounding like an echoing alarm. The weight of her discovery clung to her. Who had placed that photograph in the hallway? What could it mean? Who could she possibly ask for answers without sounding like a lunatic? Later that evening, taking advantage of a quiet moment in the kitchen, Riley initiated a furtive conversation with Martha, the estate's seasoned cook. "You've worked here a long time, right?" she inquired, attempting to sound casual. "Long enough to have more secrets than recipes," Martha chuckled, deftly slicing carrots. "And the Hawthorne family? Have they always lived here?" "Oh, honey, this estate's been in their blood for generations," she replied. Charles Hawthorne inherited it after his brother Andrew and sister-in-law died in an accident. Tragic story. Riley felt a chill. His brother died in an accident? Martha nodded gravely. A car crash years ago. People say it was just bad luck, but who really knows? The pit in Riley's stomach deepened. That night, back in her cramped Edgewood apartment, she lay wide awake, her adoptive parents oblivious to the storm brewing within her. Memories of the girl in the photo circled relentlessly through her mind. If that child was her, then why was she featured in a mansion owned by Charles Hawthorne? What connections lay hidden beneath the surface of her existence? The next evening, Riley re-entered the grandeur of the estate once more, this time disguising herself under the guise of another catering job, but her true objective burned brightly. She needed to find that photo again. As the festivities progressed, she stealthily slipped back down the shadowy hallway, only to be greeted by emptiness. The photo was gone, vanished without a trace. What would you do if a snapshot of your childhood was unearthed within the confines of a stranger's mansion? Did Charles Hawthorne harbor knowledge of Riley's true identity? Could she possibly be related to the powerful Hawthorne family? Share your theories below. If you were in her position, would you delve deeper or choose to walk away? Comment yes if you'd pursue the truth. Riley stood frozen before the vacant wall, the absence of the framed photograph igniting a storm of panic. There had been no mistaking that image. It was etched into her memory, every detail vivid and clear. Breathing heavily, she rubbed her eyes. Could it have been a figment of her imagination? But no, that little girl smiling back at her was undeniably a part of her history. Why would someone have taken it down? Did they see her lingering? A shiver slithered down her spine as dread settled in. Returning to the bustle of the kitchen, Riley forced herself to finish her shift, every clink of cutlery now feeling like an impending threat. That night, she departed the Hawthorne estate with a heart full of questions and anxiety, but the following morning found her sitting at the breakfast table alongside her adoptive mother, Gloria. "Mom," she started, stirring her coffee, "do you remember where I came from before the adoption?" Gloria paused mid-sip, concern flickering across her features. "That's a strange question, honey. Why do you ask?" "I just feel like there's something missing," Riley sighed. "I saw a photo last night that looked just like me as a child, at a house I've never been to before." Gloria's hands trembled slightly as the mug settled back on the table. "Riley, we never got much information. You were found in a shelter at around 5. They said your parents died in an accident, but that's all we were told." Riley's heart sank. "An accident? A car accident?" she probed. Gloria confirmed, and the coincidences began to pile up. The weight of her realized past grew heavy on her shoulders, and she couldn't dismiss the feeling any longer. Determined to unearth the truth, Riley returned to the Hawthorne estate, disguising her intent once more under the veil of catering service. Navigating the mansion felt more like a ghost wandering through a haunted labyrinth, searching for remnants of her lost heritage. Every glimmering chandelier, every meticulously painted portrait felt as if they watched her closely. She intently observed the staff, wondering who might have the answers she craved. Eventually, she encountered Marcus, a longtime security guard whose demeanor was quiet but friendly. Seizing the moment, she approached him during a coffee break. "You've worked here a long time, haven't you?" she queried. 23 years, he mumbled, "back before Mr. Charles even took over." "Do you remember what happened to his brother?" she asked cautiously. His brow furrowed, and he replied, "Andrew." "Yeah, he and his wife died in a crash." The weight of his words settled heavily in the air. "They had a daughter, but no one knows what happened to her. Some say she perished with them, others insist she was taken." Riley's chest tightened, suppressing the urge to spill the truth. She formed her words carefully. Why the secrecy? Because questioning the Hawthornes is dangerous. After the crash, Charles moved quickly, deleting any trace of the past and silencing anyone who dared explore it. Retreating home that night, Riley wrestled with the implications of Marcus's words. If she truly was Andrew Hawthorne's daughter, Why had her existence been erased? Why hadn't Charles searched for her, or had he? Determined, she arranged a meeting with a retired staff member, Eleanor, who once worked at the estate. Known for her resilience and loyalty to Andrew, Riley felt she could unearth more pieces of her history. Eleanor welcomed her with warmth, yet her cautious gaze exuded wisdom. "Riley, right?" Eleanor said, recalling details of her past. "You were just a little thing. Your mother used to call you Rye. You danced in the garden in a yellow dress. Andrew was smitten with you." "Why don't I remember any of it?" Riley's voice faltered. Eleanor's expression hardened. "Because Charles ensured you wouldn't." Silence enveloped them, heavy with profound truths. "After the crash, you vanished. Authorities assumed you were dead, but your body was never found. And Charles took over everything, paid people off to cleanse the past." Riley's hands shook as she absorbed every revelation. Her childhood had not just faded, it had been deliberately erased. "I found a photo of myself in the estate, but it disappeared," she confided. Eleanor sighed knowingly. "He knows, dear. Charles has always been watchful." In that moment, a resolute fire ignited within Riley. No longer was she merely a server. She was a woman on a quest to reclaim her identity. If you found your childhood image tucked away in a mansion owned by a stranger, would you confront the man who might have stolen your life? Comment yes if you would take a stand, or no if you'd silently walk away. Gathering her courage, Riley returned to the Hawthorne estate with purpose. Every room echoed with the specters of her past, whispers of betrayal, loss, and stolen identity reverberating through the walls. She had to uncover the truth about the crash that killed her parents, discover the extent of Charles's cover-up, and unearth clues about her mother's fate. Eleanor's information provided the key that guided Riley toward Charles's private study, an elusive room that may hold the answers she desperately sought. She waited for the perfect opportunity, biding her time until 2 days later when Charles left for a business trip, leaving the mansion unsettlingly quiet in his absence. Dressed as usual in her catering uniform, she had no intention of serving cocktails. Her focus lay solely on the forbidden study on the 3rd floor. Pushing the door open, dust motes floated in the sunlight that streamed through towering windows, the room steeped in the scent of aged wood and cigar smoke. An imposing mahogany desk stood in the center, flanked by towering bookshelves. But her eyes fell to a barely visible safe hidden behind a painting. Pushing it aside, her fingers quivered as she recalled Marcus's words. Charles never forgot the date of the crash that had torn their family apart. Punching in 0492005, the lock clicked open. Inside the safe lay documents, ledgers, flash drives, but one envelope arrested her attention. With shaking hands, she opened it, her breath catching. It was addressed to "My daughter Ray." Tears sprung to her eyes as she unfolded the letter within. "My sweet Ray, if you are reading this, it means the worst has happened. Your father and I knew we were in danger. We tried everything to protect you. If anything occurs, promise me you'll stay safe. Charles is not who he pretends to be. Do not trust him. Never forget who you are, Ray Evelyn Hawthorne. You are our daughter, our everything. Love, Mom." Riley gasped, overwhelmed. Everything was real. Her parents had lived in fear, and Charles had obliterated her existence. Suddenly, footsteps echoed from the corridor. In a frantic panic, she hastily stuffed documents into her bag, closing the safe just as the door swung open to reveal Charles, his eyes cold and predatory. "Well," he said, his tone laced with mockery, "I was wondering how long it would take you to search for answers." Standing tall, despite her terror, Riley declared, "I know everything you did to my parents. I know I'm your niece." Charles chuckled darkly. "You think anyone will believe a girl raised in a shelter over me? You were a mistake, just like your father. Too weak to lead this family." Riley's hands trembled as she revealed the documents. "I have proof. The press will hear the truth." His expression darkened. "You're not leaving this house." In a split second, Riley surged toward the exit. She dashed down the corridor, adrenaline coursing through her as she fled with the knowledge of her true identity. Bursting through the back door, she jumped into her car, tires squealing against the pavement. Behind her, Charles stood seething in the driveway, but for the first time, Riley felt empowered. The next day, she met an investigative journalist entangled in the web of Hawthorne scandals. She presented the documents and her mother's heartfelt letter, and within 48 hours, the story erupted into the headlines. Hawthorne estate scandal, CEO under investigation for inheritance fraud and family cover-up. Media hounds crowded Charles's empire, and for the first time, Riley breathed free air. But the tale didn't end there. A week later, breaking news footage broadcasted a frail woman being escorted from a psychiatric clinic near Nashville. Riley instantly recognized the face. It was her mother. Rushing to the clinic, she entered the room to find her mother seated by a window. "Mom?" she breathed. Her mother's gaze met hers, and recognition sparked. "Ray!" they cried out in unison, tears cascading as they enveloped each other in an embrace nearly 2 decades overdue. Finally reunited, the duo confronted decades of trauma that had been stifled by greed. The doctors explained that her mother had experienced trauma-induced amnesia. Charles had hidden her away while posing as a grieving relative, claiming she had perished in the accident. However, Riley's bravery had brought her family's truth to the surface. In court, Riley testified against Charles, revealing the shrouded secrets and damning evidence that led to his arrest and conviction. The Hawthorne legacy, once a synonym for wealth, would now resonate as a cautionary tale around betrayal and justice. Choosing not to reclaim the estate or the fortune, Riley sought something more precious: peace, truth, and time with her mother. Together, they relocated to a peaceful town in Vermont, dedicating themselves to opening a community center for orphans and displaced children, providing the solace and love Riley had yearned for. Each morning, as they watched the sun rise together, Riley whispered to herself, "I'm finally free." What do you think about Riley's remarkable journey? Do you believe justice was served? If this story resonated with you or kept you on the edge of your seat, share your thoughts in the comments below.